Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later.
And now your host. He grew a beard for the first time in his life and has no idea how to manage it.
Pat Flynn.
Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all of this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed, all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Hiring shouldn't be a hassle or a drain on your budget. Upwork is your one-stop shop to find, hire, and pay top freelance talent, saving you time and keeping costs in check all in one place. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way that they staff key projects and initiatives by assessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, administration support, marketing, and more. And I've personally used them myself and can vouch for them. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Go there now. This week, we spoke with one of my great friends, John Lee Dumas. He and I have had a really, really long history together, and I'm never going to not say that I was his first podcast interview because he's interviewed thousands of entrepreneurs, of course, so I was the first one. I gave him a shot, and he's done awesome, and I'm quite proud of him, and it was a great conversation in our podcast episode because he's got a new book coming out, The Common Path to Uncommon Success, and he lays it out for us, a roadmap of how to be successful. And in that conversation, we talked about the definition of success and some of the key highlights to get there. And that's all really important. I highly recommend you check that out. But I want to go into something deeper today with you related to success, because there is one thing that we all do that could either drive us toward that successful path or completely crush us. And it's the idea of comparison. When you play the comparison game, you're playing a very dangerous game. And, I share this with my kids all the time because they're at the age now. And I remember when I was in school, especially in middle school, that's when I started caring, right? That's when I started caring about what I wore and how others perceived me and how cool I was. And I wasn't cool, but, I tried to be. I remember growing my bangs out and trying to be like a break dancer. That was okay. Anyway, that's when I started to care. And I remember back in the day, always comparing myself to other people, comparing myself to the cool kids, comparing myself to the not cool kids. And there's nothing great that can come out of that. Nothing. And that's what I tell my kids. You either are going to feel bad because you don't have or you're not at where somebody else is, or you're just kind of tooting your own horn playing I'm better than you to somebody else. Or you're exactly the same, right? And in which case, okay, you've just wasted time. There is no good that can come out of comparison. Now, it's still important to look at what other people are doing and get motivated by that, to pull inspiration. But there's a fine line, right? There is a fine line between inspiration and that competitive nature that many of us have, especially entrepreneurs, that has us go, ooh, why not me? Or how come they get it and I don't? How come even though they started after me, they're doing better than me? Or, look at them. They're trying so hard, but at least I'm more successful. Again, there's nothing great that can come out of that kind of comparison game. The comparison game that needs to happen is the one that happens between you and yourself yesterday, and yourself last week, and yourself last month, because that's improvement for yourself. But it's hard because we're human and we compare to others. We have other people help provide us baselines and foundations that we can build off of. And again, it's a very, very blurred line between inspiration, motivation, and, ooh, look at them versus me. So how do we delineate that? How do we begin to start understanding how we pull inspiration and motivation from somebody else and not get into that mode where we start either putting ourselves down or putting other people down? And I think it really has to do with, actually, I know it has to do with your goals versus their goals, your path versus their path, your history versus their history. And I know I just said, let's not compare, but we have to play the comparison game in this way so that we don't compare. Meaning, when we start comparing our situation now to somebody else's situation now, we are putting two things on the same scale that don't deserve to be on the same scale. There are two different histories, two different experiences, two different people, personalities that have led us to where we are today. And so although a person may have started a business after you and is doing 2, 3, 10, 100 times more business than you, there are so many different variables, so many different circumstances at play that allow for that to happen. And it's to no fault of yours. The failure comes in not noticing that and not realizing that. And in many cases, we can't ever fully understand or uncover the true story unless they share it. You might have heard the idea of the overnight success took 10 years kind of situation, where there are 10 years worth of work or just years in general before that inflection point where finally things start to happen. And that's, of course, what gets picked up in the media. That's what gets shared. That's what gets loved and talked about. But what doesn't get spoken about are the nights grinding at home. What doesn't get spoken about is how this person took a chance and met people at a conference that led to another person who then allowed them to be on their platform that then skyrocketed their business. And because they stepped out of their comfort zone that one time, that allowed for all these relationships to happen and their business to boom. We don't see that. We don't know that. And in many cases, those people don't even know it. Sometimes they do because it's very calculated, but in other cases, no. So what do we do? What is the strategy? Well, here's what I do. You're welcome to use this strategy if you'd like, or you can find one of your own. But I think it's really important because I'm not going to say avoid comparing, because you will. You just will. But it's what you do when you start to notice that. So number one, it's beginning to start to be conscious about the idea of going, oh, look at that person, why not me? Or, oh, look at them and versus me, all that kind of stuff. When I start feeling that way, and you notice it, you know when you're in that mode, right? Number one, just being conscious about it is key, right? Number one. Number two, I always ask myself this question: what benefit is there in making this comparison? And what's really interesting about that question, what's the benefit of making this comparison? I now switch to not, oh, I don't even want to think about them anymore. I start thinking about, well, what about what they've done can help me? How can I pull inspiration? Not how am I going to start, knocking this person down or knocking myself down. I actually start looking for the lessons. I actually start consciously searching for the things that are going to be of benefit to me from this comparison. That also forces the mind to not think about, well, why them, not me, but what can I learn from them? Or what might I be able to do to serve them so that, this is the other case, if you find that maybe you are outperforming them, like not, hey, look at how much better I'm doing, but how can I help that person rise up, right? And so it's interesting because John and I, we are definitely, in a sense, on paper, competitors. We both have podcasts where we interview entrepreneurs. We both have podcasting courses. We both have masterminds. We both are within the same world and serve essentially overlap audiences. But we also understand, and I don't know how John thinks about this. I wish I had a chance to ask him. We'll have to bring him on the show again. But I know how I feel. Number one, I feel like we live in this world of abundance where there is more room for all of us, right? And it brings me back to when I told John that I was coming out with a podcasting course. This was after I was an affiliate for his Podcaster's Paradise. And he said, Pat, I'm so happy that you finally now have a course to serve your audience with. He didn't feel ashamed. He didn't feel worried. He didn't start defending or saying, hey, why are you doing that? You were an affiliate and now you're just trying to, undercut me or whatever. No, he saw that I could bring something different and together we could benefit the podcasting space. And we've actually swapped trade secrets together. We've obviously supported each other. I'm supporting him with his new book launch. Again, The Common Path to Uncommon Success. Check it out, Amazon or uncommonsuccessbook.com if you'd like to check it out. Anyway, that's the kind of mindset that you need to have because it's going to eat you up inside when you see somebody else who's in the same space as you, quote unquote, taking your market share. It's interesting how it's called market share when we don't actually feel like we're sharing it with each other. It's honestly something that, yes, I know in many cases it does actually take market share in the sense of the word. But again, abundance. There are people who will want to learn just from you. There are people who are only going to want to listen to your podcast. There are people who will listen to both and appreciate you both. And we know that you exist because we've met you in person and we couldn't be more thankful, John and I. John is an amazing person. He is somebody who is definitely a character, but he hustles and he gets work done, and he's definitely inspired me. Now let's talk about, in addition to comparing yourself to others and how to pull inspiration from that, again, what is the benefit of this comparison? What can I or might I learn from this other person? Beyond that, it's that comparison of you versus you. I like to think about going back into the DeLorean and going back to my past to tell myself certain things that I wish I knew back then, right? It's a very common question on a podcast if I'm a guest. Pat, if you, people often know I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. Pat, if you had access to the DeLorean right now and you can go back 20 years to when you were 18 years old, because I'm 38 right now, quick math, what would you tell yourself? And I always say the same things. Number one, try to meet and befriend and serve as many people as possible because you never know exactly who that person might become and how they might be able to serve you later in life. Number two, don't worry about what other people think about you. because that ate me up. That ate me up all throughout high school and in the first year of college. After that, I finally started to get comfortable. And number 3, start your email list. Start your email list sooner, Pat. You please. And your podcast and all that stuff. Anyway, if you want to start an email list soon, smartpassiveincome.com/ConvertKit is what I would recommend. I'm an advisor and an affiliate for that company. But thinking about you versus you need to think about going into the future and thinking about if you were to continue on the path that you're on right now and you take that third-person view of yourself, how would you feel? How would you react to where you think things might be headed? If you were to continue on the same path, if you were to continue to do the same habits, if you were to continue to say no to those things that you know to say yes to, and to say yes to those things that you know to say no to, how would you feel looking at yourself then? Right? It's almost like when Marty and Jennifer travel to the future, 2015, with flying cars and all that stuff, and they see versions of themselves and they're not quite happy with how they turned out. I would imagine that in many cases that would be us. And I play this game with myself all the time, and yeah, myself included. And so when I think about this experiment, this thought experiment, and I think about the behaviors that I'm doing, the habits that I'm forming, I think about myself in the future if I were to not change certain things. And I don't just think about me looking at me. I also, and I've shared this before in the past, I haven't shared this in a while, so this might be new for you, but I have 2 kids, right? My son is 11, my daughter is 8. I think about them 20 years from now, right? 20 years from now, my son is 31 and my daughter's 28. And they each have their own families and careers, and they are good friends, so they meet up at a cafe without us. My wife, April, and I are just chilling in Hawaii. I own a coffee farm, and my wife is breeding dogs. This is just, again, we like thought experiments. And we're in Hawaii, by the way, because that's where the coffee belt is. Anyway, and the kids are there in this cafe, and they're chatting. They're chatting about their childhood, as we all do when we reflect on our past, when we introspect. They're chatting about us, me and April. And what are they saying? Are they saying good things? Are they saying bad things? Are they proud of us? Are they worried about us? Are they talking about how things should have gone instead? And without even knowing the answers or exactly what scenarios they're talking about, but just those questions alone help me think about the actions that I'm taking today. So whether you have kids or not, it doesn't matter. Important people in your life are going to be inspired by you in one way or another, or not. And that's something that drives me big time, because my kids are the most important things to me in this world. And thinking about how they take these experiences as children with them into adulthood with relation to how April and I parent is definitely something that inspires me to make sure I make the right decisions, to be the example that I want them to talk about in a positive manner down the road. And, I invite you to think about those thought experiments too. So thank you for going deep with me today in talking about not just comparisons between ourselves and others, our quote unquote competition. You can be complementary to others that on paper, perhaps all your competition. And I love that thought, because now we can each combine our superpowers and together we are Captain Planet. You know what I'm saying? 80s kids out there, you know what I mean? Captain Planet. Heart. And this comparison of you and you, right? I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for following me on Friday. Every Friday, you get me and just me. And we talk about typically a topic that relates to the previous episode, the interview with a special guest that has come on Wednesday. So there's a few of these Follow Fridays that have come about, and I invite you to check out the rest of them, because I feel like it's just you and me chatting, and I love that, especially as I'm recording this while still in the pandemic, right? We're seemingly closing in on the end of that, which is I'm very grateful for. But it gets lonely. But these conversations, even though you're not with me in person here, you kind of are. You actually are. So thank you so much for listening. Just know that I appreciate you. I know you're there, and I love you. Thank you. Cheers. Take care. Thank you so much. And I look forward to serving you in the next episodes next week. Thanks for joining me on Smart Passive Income. And as always, Team Flynn for the win. Peace. Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn. Sound design and editing by Paul Gregoris. Our senior producer is Sarah Jane Hess. Our series producer is David Grabowski. And our executive producer is Matt Gartland. The Smart Passive Income podcast is a production of SPI Media. We'll catch you in the next session. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? Score App helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. More people dream about building their own business and being their own boss rather than retiring early. But a majority of them never even take the first steps to register the business. Why? Because starting a business can feel overwhelming. With legal forms, paperwork, finances, it's a lot. And that's where Taylor Brands comes in. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal and business assets separate from day one. And from there, you can get access to everything you need to get off the ground, from legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, our listeners get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. Just head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands.